Welcome. Thanks for tuning in today. I posted a little something this morning that was about what if today you chose to believe that absolutely everything was working in your favor? And this can be kind of a radical concept. And it's even something I'm a little nervous talking about because while I believe it wholeheartedly and completely, it's also something that's difficult to live up to, or something to believe in the moment when things are not going your way, when things are not going well, when you're getting hit with some really gnarly and difficult experiences. And it's really only after the fact, as you move through those experiences, that we have the ability in our human experience to turn around and say, oh, okay, that worked in my favor because of this, that, and the other. Hard to see that in the moment. So this is something that I get a lot of pushback on. But I'm going to talk about it anyway. I'll do my best here and see if this hits, see if this resonates with you. You know, creation is truly benevolent. God is not fire and brimstone. The divine is not here to punish us or even to teach us lessons. You know, a lot of times I hear people say, when I talk about this, they say, oh yeah, well, we all got to learn our lessons. And I really don't like that because it makes me feel bad or bad, good, or better, worse, and hierarchy. And hierarchy makes me uncomfortable. I like expansion rather than progression or moving up. It's about moving out. And so every experience that we have has the opportunity to help us expand into our fullest, best, and highest selves. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we don't get to feel our feelings if something difficult happens in our lives or something happens to us that is really challenging and really hard for us to get through. We get to feel all of it. It's in the feeling of the feelings: grief, sadness, loss, desperation, pain, fear, all of those feelings that come up that are so challenging for us. It's in those feelings that we get to that place that the experience is trying to take us, move into that expanded, awesome, authentic human experience. It's through the feeling of those feelings. So your job in every moment of every life is really simple. It's just to feel everything, to feel all of it. And in that feeling, even in the grief, even in the difficulty, to recognize and understand that it is all working in your favor. And the way I like to tell it is the story that I relate, how I relate it to my life. This is a message that I got a download about, like, boom, everything is working in your favor. And I went, are you serious? And again, it's hard to live up to. When I get slapped with things in life that I don't like, or I feel resistant about, or I feel pain around, it's really hard for me to go, it's okay, because it's all working in my favor. So it's okay to go to that place that's like, you know, it's okay to push back on this. It's okay to have a lot of feelings around this. But, you know, the hardest thing that happened to me was when I was 12 years old, my father died. And now my father was the central parental figure in my childhood. My mom was the breadwinner and my dad stayed home with the kids. And on top of that, he homeschooled us. So we were with him all the time. He was like the main parental figure. And when I was 12 years old and he was 50, he dropped dead. No known cause, never found out why he died. He was healthy. He did yoga every day. He was a vegetarian. He drank homemade kombucha, you know, like way before it was trendy. And one night his chest started hurting, and 10 minutes later he was dead. He was gone. And that was something that rocked my 12-year-old world. And I know you're out there and you're listening and you've had these experiences too. We have these experiences in our lives and they rock our world. And for a long time, my identity was wrapped up in my childhood identity was really wrapped up in the fact that I'd lost my father at a young age. And I went through that grief and it took a long time. And for a long time, I didn't feel the grief, or I pushed the grief away. And it wasn't until almost 20 years later, when I had a massive breaking open point and I just finally let everything out and grieved more fully than I'd ever allowed myself to grieve. Whew, I sank into it. And that's when I came to understand, moving through that, you know, at the 20-year mark or so, I was finally able to turn around and see that the death of my father worked to my highest benefit. And here's why. You know, it doesn't mean it was fun. It doesn't mean I don't still miss him. It doesn't mean I'm happy it happened, but it does mean that had he lived, my life would look very different now. My dad was a really strong personality. He was sort of an overbearing character. It was my way or the highway. And I worshiped the man. And I would have done anything he told me to do. partly because I was afraid of him, and partly because, well, that's what you do. Because that's what Dad said. And so my life would have gone in a prescribed direction based on where he wanted it to go. His death at a young age catapulted me in a new direction. So I lived my life much more on my own terms and came to a place now where I do live my life on my terms. And I really got the message loud and clear from him coming to me, and, you know, from Spirit, from God, that had he not given me the gift of his death, I would not have been able to fulfill my highest expression, to be all that I could be. And again, that doesn't mean it doesn't suck. That doesn't mean that I don't miss him, that I don't feel the pain still to this day around his death. When I think about the night of his death, it still makes me cry. And it's been over 20 years. You know, that was a small child then. So, and I still get to feel all of that. I still get to go in and go, okay, this was horrible. And I still have unresolved grief around it. And yet the gift is, here I am today in front of you, speaking to you, launching this organization, helping myself and helping you connect so strongly and so clearly with the divine. And I know that would not have been the case had I not had that really difficult, traumatic experience that took me years to work through. All right. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Love you to death. I'll be back around. Stick around this page today. Okay. Bye.